Have you ever had one of those moments where life feels as if it's speaking directly to you? Maybe you were thinking of an old friend you hadn't heard from in years, and just then, your phone lit up with their name. Or perhaps you stumbled upon a book you didn't even know you were looking for, only to realize its pages held the exact words you needed at that moment. These are the little whispers life sends our way, the subtle nudges that seem to say, "You're exactly where you need to be." Carl Jung called this phenomenon synchronicity, meaningful coincidences that cannot be explained by cause and effect, yet feel deeply, unmistakably connected to our inner world. He believed that beneath the surface of everyday events there is a hidden network of meaning, weaving together the threads of our lives. And sometimes the pattern reveals itself. Have you experienced such a moment? One that made you stop, breathe, and wonder if the universe was trying to tell you something? Share your story in the comments below, because your experience might be the sign someone else is waiting for. Jung's insight was radical for his time. The scientific world often insists that events are random, disconnected, and without deeper significance. But Jung saw life as a mirror of the soul. In his view, the outer world is not separate from our inner world. They are two sides of the same coin, reflecting and influencing one another in ways we cannot always measure, but can deeply feel. Imagine walking through your day as if every encounter, every challenge, every joy were part of a vast conversation between you and life itself. A stranger's words might carry a message your unconscious has been waiting to hear. A sudden obstacle could be a quiet invitation to slow down and choose differently. These moments, Jung would say, are not accidents. They are intersections where your personal story meets the larger story of the universe. Synchronicity often arrives when we are at a crossroads, uncertain of our next step. It can appear in the form of a repeated symbol, a certain animal crossing your path again and again, a song that seems to follow you wherever you go, a phrase that keeps appearing in books, conversations, even in dreams. Jung believed these were not coincidences, but meaningful alignments between the psyche and the world around us, guided by what he called the collective unconscious, a vast shared reservoir of symbols, myths, and archetypes that all human beings carry within. The collective unconscious is like a great ocean beneath the surface of individual minds. We may feel we are separate islands, but deep below, our foundations are connected. That's why people across cultures dream of similar symbols, tell similar stories, and are moved by the same images. When synchronicity occurs, it's as if something from that deep ocean rises to the surface, uniting the inner and outer in a single shimmering moment. You might wonder, how can we tell the difference between a true synchronicity and simple chance? Jung would say, pay attention to your inner response. When a moment resonates not just with your thoughts, but with your very being, when it feels like a gentle electric current passing through your soul, that is when meaning is present. The mind might doubt, but the heart recognizes the signal. It's important to note that synchronicity is not about forcing meaning into every coincidence. It is not about superstition or control. Rather, it is about learning to listen. It is about allowing life to be more than a series of random events, opening yourself to the possibility that there is a dialogue happening between you and the world. That dialogue does not shout, it whispers. And to hear it, we must slow down enough to notice. In today's world, this is not easy. We live in a constant storm of noise, notifications, obligations, the unending pull of screens. It's easy to miss the quiet patterns weaving through our days. But synchronicity asks something of us: to step back, to create moments of stillness where the deeper rhythm of life can be heard. Sometimes synchronicity comes as an answer to a question we haven't yet dared to ask aloud. Other times it is a mirror reflecting what we most need to see, whether that's encouragement, a warning, or a truth we've been avoiding. Jung often spoke of the self, the deeper, wiser part of us that guides the individuation process, the journey of becoming our fullest, truest selves. Synchronicity, he believed, is one of the self's ways of guiding us home. Think of it as a compass, but one that speaks in symbols rather than directions. The more we pay attention, the more fluent we become in this symbolic language. And the more fluent we become, the less lost we feel, because even in the chaos, we begin to sense that we are part of something vast, alive, and deeply intentional. So maybe the next time you catch yourself saying, "What are the odds?" and you might pause. Instead of dismissing it as random, you might ask, "What is life trying to tell me here?" Because in Jung's world, that question is the beginning of a deeper conversation, a conversation in which you are not just a passive observer, but an active participant in the unfolding of your own destiny. Sometimes life begins answering a question you didn't even know you were asking. Not in words, but in images, encounters, and gentle repetitions that seem to echo through your days. You notice a symbol appearing again and again, a certain animal crossing your path, a line of poetry surfacing in different places, a face that reminds you of someone from long ago. At first, you might dismiss it as coincidence, but then it starts to feel different. It feels like something, or someone, is trying to speak to you in a language older than words. Carl Jung believed that this language is the language of the unconscious, and that synchronicity is one of its most beautiful dialects. In dreams, in art, in sudden encounters, the unconscious expresses itself through symbols. These symbols are not random. They are rooted in what Jung called the archetypes, primordial patterns of human experience that live in the collective unconscious. They are the hero, the mother, the shadow, the guide. They are the images and roles that have shaped our myths, our religions, and our personal stories for thousands of years. When a symbol from your inner world begins appearing in your outer world, Jung would say that synchronicity is at work. Imagine you dream of standing before a bridge, feeling both fear and excitement about crossing it. The next day, you pass a painting in a cafe depicting the very same bridge. That evening, a friend brings up a conversation about crossing over into a new stage of life. None of these events cause the others, yet they are connected, not by logic, but by meaning. The bridge in your dream, in the painting, and in your friend's words might represent a personal transition, a moment of growth, or a call to step into the unknown. Synchronicity is the thread that stitches these moments together. But to see the thread, you must slow down. In our hyper-connected, endlessly distracted lives, we miss the quiet patterns life is weaving. The unconscious does not shout, it whispers. Synchronicity requires a receptive state, one in which you are not desperately searching for signs, but open enough to notice them when they appear. Jung observed that synchronicities often appear during times of emotional intensity or life transition, moments when the structures of our lives are shifting. In such times, the walls between the conscious and unconscious become thinner. A song can feel like it's speaking directly to your heart. A sentence in a book can feel like it was written just for you. The self, that deeper, wiser center of your being, uses these moments to guide you toward wholeness. It's important to understand that synchronicity is not always comfortable. Sometimes the signs point toward truths you've been avoiding. You might keep encountering reminders of a relationship you haven't fully grieved, or themes of forgiveness when you're still holding on to anger. Jung believed the unconscious seeks integration, not comfort, and synchronicity is one way it brings the hidden into the light. Consider how many times you've heard the same piece of advice from different people in a short span, or how a certain topic keeps coming up in conversations, articles, and even advertisements. It might be tempting to dismiss this as mere coincidence, but Jung would suggest asking yourself, what part of me is this speaking to? What truth is trying to surface? This is where synchronicity connects to the individuation process, the lifelong journey of becoming who you truly are. Individuation requires facing your shadow, embracing the parts of yourself you've rejected, and integrating the wisdom of the unconscious. Synchronicities can serve as guideposts on this journey, pointing you toward the very places where growth is needed. And here's something profound. Synchronicity is rarely just about you. Because the collective unconscious connects us all, the sign you receive may also be a message for someone else, and vice versa. A stranger's offhand remark could change the course of your life without them ever knowing it. Or something you share could be exactly what another person needs to hear. The web of meaning is vast, and each of us is both a receiver and a transmitter of its signals. Modern science often hesitates to embrace these ideas, preferring explanations rooted in probability and causation. Jung did not reject reason, but he argued that not all truths can be measured. Some can only be experienced. Synchronicity operates in the realm of meaning, not mechanism. It's like poetry. It can't be reduced to an equation, but it can change the way you see the world. The beauty of synchronicity is that it reminds us life is not a flat line of random events. It is a woven tapestry, each thread carrying color and texture that only makes sense when you step back to see the whole design. Some threads are bright and joyful, others are dark and challenging. But all of them are part of the same pattern, the story of you unfolding in harmony with the larger story of the world. Perhaps one day you'll look back and realize that a small decision you made years ago set into motion the chain of events that led you exactly here. A conversation, a book, a chance meeting. At the time, they seemed insignificant. In hindsight, they were turning points. Synchronicity was there all along, quietly arranging the meeting places between your choices and your destiny. To live with an awareness of synchronicity is to live in dialogue with life itself. You no longer see yourself as a passive passenger. You become a participant in a conversation that is as subtle as it is profound. You begin to trust that the path is unfolding in ways you cannot fully see, but can deeply feel. And maybe the next time you catch yourself saying, "What are the odds?" you'll pause. You'll feel the hum of recognition in your chest. And instead of brushing it off, you'll lean in and listen. Because in that moment, life might be telling you exactly what you need to hear. When you start living with the awareness that life is speaking to you, something subtle but powerful begins to shift. The world doesn't necessarily change overnight. Your job may still be stressful, your relationships may still have rough edges, your routines may still feel repetitive, but you are different. You notice things you would have ignored before. You feel the quiet pulse of connection beneath the surface of ordinary days. And in that awareness, you begin to realize that the boundary between inner and outer is much thinner than you once believed. Jung often spoke of the psyche as a self-regulating system. Just as the body strives for physical balance, the psyche strives for psychological wholeness. Synchronicity is one of the ways the psyche maintains this balance. It offers hints, nudges, and symbolic guideposts that help you correct your course, face what needs to be faced, and open to what wants to enter your life. Think of a time when you were feeling lost or uncertain, and then something, small, almost trivial, offered you clarity. Maybe it was a line in a film, a conversation overheard in a cafe, a book that fell open to the exact passage you needed. At first glance, these moments seem too minor to matter, but meaning is not measured by size. Sometimes the smallest sign can reorient the largest journey. In Jung's view, these signs are invitations. They invite you to step into greater alignment with yourself, the deep guiding center of your being. But here is the paradox: the self does not shout its instructions. It speaks in symbols, in images, in connections that bypass logic and go straight to the heart. If you are willing to listen, these symbols can carry more wisdom than any advice another person could give. One of the most profound ways to listen is through dreams. Dreams are, in many ways, the nightly theater of the unconscious. They are not random. They are carefully staged performances in which the characters, settings, and storylines are drawn from your deepest inner world. and often the same symbols that appear in your dreams will find their way into your waking life through synchronicity. A bird you dreamed of may land on your window the next morning. A phrase spoken in your dream may appear on a billboard. These moments can feel uncanny, even magical, but they are also deeply practical. They remind you that your inner and outer worlds are in constant dialogue. The trouble is, most of us have been conditioned to dismiss such things. We are taught to value only what can be measured, repeated, and explained. Jung challenged this narrow view. He argued that to live fully, we must learn to value meaning as much as measurement. If an event resonates with your soul, that resonance is its significance. You don't need to justify it with statistics or prove it to anyone else. You only need to honor it. Honoring synchronicity means making space for it. It means slowing down enough to notice the patterns, keeping your mind open enough to recognize when life is reflecting your inner state back to you. One simple way to begin is to keep a meaning journal. In it, you write down the dreams you remember, the recurring symbols you see, the unusual coincidences that stir something inside you. Over time, you begin to see threads connecting them, threads that point toward the deeper story your life is telling. But honoring synchronicity also means acting on it. Jung was clear that signs alone are not enough. A door opening is only useful if you walk through it. If life keeps bringing you images of renewal, perhaps it is time to let go of what's stale. If you keep encountering reminders of a certain person, maybe it is time to reach out, or finally release them from your heart. The signs are the map, but you are the traveler. There is also a humility in this process. Synchronicity does not guarantee comfort or ease. Sometimes it leads you into uncertainty, into the very challenges you hope to avoid. But if you trust that these moments are part of your individuation, your journey toward becoming whole, you may find that even the difficulties carry a strange kind of grace. They are the shaping forces, the chisels that carve you into the person you are meant to be. This trust is not blind faith. It is an ongoing practice of paying attention, reflecting, and staying open to the possibility that meaning is everywhere. You begin to live as if the world is alive with messages and mirrors, and in doing so, you step into a deeper relationship with life itself. Imagine starting your day not by rushing through your to-do list, but by asking yourself, what might life be trying to show me today? You move through your morning with a quiet alertness. You notice the way the sunlight falls on your desk, the way a stranger's expression seems to echo your own mood, the way a particular word keeps surfacing in conversations. You don't force meaning. You simply stay present, knowing that when something matters, you will feel it. Over time, this way of living can transform not only your awareness, but your entire sense of belonging in the world. You no longer feel like a disconnected observer. You feel woven into a living tapestry, part of an ongoing exchange between your soul and the greater whole. And in that exchange, there is a kind of homecoming. Jung believed that the ultimate aim of life was individuation, the realization of the self. Synchronicity is not the only path to this realization, but it is one of the most beautiful. It teaches you to see the world as an ally in your growth, to recognize that every encounter has the potential to reflect a deeper truth back to you. And perhaps most importantly, it teaches you to trust your own inner compass. Tonight, before you go to sleep, try this. Ask yourself quietly, what is life trying to tell me right now? Don't force an answer. Let the question drift with you into dreams. In the coming days, pay attention, not with anxious searching, but with gentle curiosity. You may be surprised at what begins to appear. A conversation, a song, a chance meeting. They might be more than they seem. They might be yourself, reaching out from within, guiding you toward the next step. If these reflections have resonated with you, share your experience in the comments below. Tell us about a time when life seemed to speak directly to you. Your story might be the synchronicity someone else is waiting for. And if you want to explore more insights inspired by Carl Jung's transformative wisdom, consider subscribing. Thank you for sharing this moment. Until next time, may you walk with open eyes and an open heart, ready to notice the signs that are already lighting your way.